Hello there and welcome to CoreTV News at 7 with me, Sabena Izoku. The ECOWAS Commission has reaffirmed its solidarity with Nigeria in its quest for free, fair, violence-free and credible general elections. This was the message delivered by the Commission's delegation led by its President Kadri Ouedraogo at separate meetings with key political stakeholders including President Goodluck Jonathan, Muhammadu Buhari of the All Progressive Congress and the Chairman of the Independent National Election Commission Atahiru Jega. Speaking after an audience with President Goodluck Jonathan at the Presidential Villa, the ECOWAS president says the Commission will support Nigeria through a successful electoral process. He also stressed the need for a peaceful process and respect for the Constitution while appealing to political parties, politicians and the supporters to play by the rule. During separate meetings with APC candidates and the INEC chairman, Ouedraogo also shared the observation of the ECOWAS long-term observation mission deployed across the nation before the elections were shifted to the 28th of April and the 11th of April. 28th of March and the 11th of April. INEC chairman promised to take on board the observation and recommendation of the regional long-term elections observation mission towards ensuring free, fair, peaceful and credible general elections in Nigeria. APC stalwarts Bukola Saraki has described the growing rate of political violence in Kwara State as a threat to democracy. Saraki has described as inimical to democracy the row which is between the major political parties of the state, the All Progressive Congress and the People's Democratic Party, and has resulted in the loss of lives and properties. He called on all political stakeholders of the state to curb political violence and urged their supporters to desist from violent acts or face the consequences.
And I think that as my view, which is the trend now globally, is that political leaders will be held responsible for any of these activities. And they should all remember that, you know, there are international criminal courts that address if anybody instigates this kind of violence, and they should be held responsible. We have known by our antecedent, as far as we're concerned, we know here in Kwara we have the majority. We are preparing for election. We have nothing to gain. They are just trying to incite us, trying to make us do things. But I've told our supporters to stay calm. It is not by destroying billboards that wins you election. Whether a billboard or poster does not win you election, it is the people. And most of them know that, as you see, I mean, over the last month or so, you've seen the trend. The trend on a daily basis, people are decamping for PDP. I don't think you've reported any APC person decamping to PDP.
In his reaction to the ill treatment of the leaders of the APC, Saraki reiterated the readiness of the masses for change as he warns that the people's calmness should not be taken for granted.
Around the whole place, all this is all intimidation. But you see, what you will fail to understand is that it is even gone beyond us, the leaders. This is a movement. This is people are determined, and people are really committed to see that this change happens. And these are the sacrifices we all have to make at this moment of time. But what I would like to warn everybody is that they should not take the calmness of Nigerians or the patience of Nigerians for granted. And they should not push the country to the breaking point. Because there's something that is clear, that Nigerians want change and Nigerians want to exercise their right and vote. And anything that would prevent that, then those people who do that must take the responsibility of the fallout of whatever happens.
In his reactions to election postponement, he asked Nigerians to be patient and see what the security agencies want to achieve in the next 6 weeks.
That we must be responsible as leaders, and some of us who are in the National Assembly to be looking ahead, because you've asked a very pertinent question. If you could not provide security in 6 years, why will you do in 6 weeks? Well, the NSA has come to say that we should be not worry, there will be no postponement, and that's why I said that beyond the NSA, the Commander-in-Chief too should give that kind of assurances to Nigerians. Even in the event of that, that is why I say that the National Assembly should look at the Constitution and the provisions that will ensure a smooth transition in a democratic process that will ensure election come if, as you rightly say, something happens along the way and they cannot meet those dates. But they are telling us they can't meet those dates. We have to take them for their words for now, but also have backup positions that will ensure stability of our democracy and of our country. The last thing we want now is a constitutional crisis or anything that will truncate our democracy. And I think all of us, whatever party, wherever party we belong to, whether we are politicians or non-politicians, we must have a common position that we all must defend our democracy, and we must ensure that that stability is there.
Away from that, members of the All Progressive Congress and the Senate say they were resolved to stop the reappointment of Senator Musiliu Obanikoro as minister following his alleged indictment in the use of the military to rig the Ekiti state governorship election in June last year. Spokesperson of the APC Senate caucus, Babafemi Ojudu, explains that other senators from the ruling People's Democratic Party was also being co-opted into the struggle. He confirms that the APC senators have started mobilizing themselves to frustrate Obanikoro's clearance and approval for fresh appointment. Ojudu, representing Ekiti's Central Senatorial District, also claimed that the federal lawmakers from the state will set in motion procedures for the taking over of the legislative activities of the Ekiti State House of Assembly. He explained that both chambers of the federal legislature would have taken over the responsibilities of the state legislators if the Senate President David Mark had not halted the process in December last year. He, however, lamented that the alleged illegality being perpetrated by 7 PDP members of the 26 members of the Ekiti Assembly would have been curtailed if Mark had not stopped a motion for the takeover at the upper legislative chamber. APC says it has proved that a top management staff of the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, NIMASA, is behind what it described as a hate campaign against its presidential candidate Muhammadu Buhari and his family, aired in a recent documentary. Spokesman for its presidential campaign team, Bashi, who said in a statement that the party has confirmed that the agency was the sponsor of all the dirty campaigns aired on AIT, NTA, and several other media platforms. This, according to Shea, who contravenes the NIMASA Act, the Public Service Regulations, and the amended Electoral Act. The campaign team also wants the joint committees of the National Assembly on Maritime Transportation to investigate his claims and take appropriate actions if found to be true. Kaduna State chapter of the Christian Association of Nigeria has denied benefiting from the alleged 7 billion naira bribe handed out by the PDP, the People's Democratic Party, for distribution to the Christian clerics. The executive director of the Northern Christian Movement, Musa Dekwa, had claimed that the money was handed out to CAN to work against the candidacy of Muhammadu Buhari of the All Progressive Congress. But General Secretary of CAN in Kaduna State, Sunday Ibrahim, told CoreTV News that Christian body is non-partisan.
How do you know that he is one of us? How do you know that he is a pastor? You see, this is the problem I also have. And that very problem is that you have a lot of people that, will just wake up tomorrow, assume that they are pastors. I would have loved if you will go back to us. You see, there are so many pastors that call themselves pastors. Number one, it's either that they are, the other day I heard somebody, saying that, is it Northern Waiting, they call it Eagle Eye, Northern Elders Christian Eagle Eye. Go and ask, who is that very pastor? Is he really a pastor? I want you to make investigations to know, the circumstances surrounding such a person before you conclude that, he's a pastor. You see the problem we have, and I think this is what will help us in this country. There are some pastors that are not pastors. They've not gone through the training, the basic training, and they just assume. Somebody will just wake up in the morning and just tell you that he had a dream, and that is why we have a lot of, proliferation of churches here and there. And we also have a lot of malams also like that. So I want to look at it that if the government will step into this, there should be a regulatory body for us to know who are pastors and who are malams. It will help us in curtailing, some of these incisive, preachings and messages that have brought us to where we are today. It will curtail a lot of things. So I don't believe that he's a pastor yet, because I don't know him, and so I think I don't want to believe that he's a pastor yet. Well, I'm just hearing that from you, and I've also read it in the papers. You see, but one thing I want us to understand is that Nigerians were very funny. Funny in the sense that, just like you will see, we have a very big, gigantic project that is going on. If such money is given, you would have seen changes here in that very building. But I can assure you that people can just say anything, anytime, because of the times we have found ourselves. Well, Nigerians are allowed to say whatsoever they want to say, but I also want to say that Nigerians also should be very, very sure of whatsoever they are saying, and I think it will really help us. We have come of age, even though everybody has freedom of speech, but I think people should be very, very sure of whatsoever information they are having. So I think that's just what I'll tell you. I'm not aware of really what you are saying. Like I said, I read it in the papers, and you just raised it also as an issue. I have reacted to this very same issue in the Daily Trust of today. If you open the Daily Trust, page 5, I said something concerning that. And maybe I'm only still on the way coming.
As the general elections draw near, the Independent National Electoral Commission has pressed on with efforts aimed at showing its readiness for the polls to Nigerians. While addressing the press in Lagos, Resident Electoral Commissioner Akin Orebi charges Lagosians to come out to pick their PVCs. He, however, expresses confidence that the card reader will help in eliminating all sorts of malpractices.
If in a particular polling unit, let us say 378 people come forward for accreditation, and anybody tries to hijack the process on the way and stuff whatever it likes inside there, and maybe forces people to change the figure, it doesn't matter. We already have the figure recorded in the smart card reader.
See, they gave me an incomplete script. The All Progressive Congress has expressed appreciation to the Nigerian military for its readiness to deploy troops for the March 28th and April 11th election, but says its services will not be required. It says the soldiers would be better utilized in other pressing areas, especially in the combats of insurgents and protection of the nation's territory integrity. The party presidential campaign team made its position known against the backdrop of the assertion by INEC chairman Atahiru Jega that only service chiefs can guarantee the sanctity of March 28th date for the presidential election. The campaign team said in a statement issued by a spokesman, Garba Shehu, that the idea of having the military chiefs determine when elections will hold is a mockery of democracy. And away from that, the absence of an interpreter at the Federal High Court in Abuja on Friday stalled the trial of Aminu Oguche, the alleged mastermind of the 2014 bomb attack on a bus terminal in Yanya, Abuja. The charges preferred against Oguche, who was arraigned along with 5 others, were not read due to the non-appearance of the individual billed to interpret the charge sheets to the suspect. Presiding Judge Justice Ahmed Mohammed held that ongoing with the trial without an interpreter will amount to deny the accused fair hearing. In a short ruling, the judge granted a request made by Oguche's counsel, Ahmed Raji, for accelerated hearing.
The was to take place, but most unfortunately, the interpreter was not around. So, and it's a very, very important requirement that when you are reading a charge or charges to an accused person who does not understand English language or in the language in which the charge is being read, there must be an interpreter. So unfortunately, there was no interpreter, so the matter has to be adjourned. And the judge has graciously granted us an accelerated hearing so that all the accused persons will know their fate in no distant time.
You're watching CoreTV News at 7. We'll take a commercial break, and when we return, there'll be more stories for you. Just stay with us.
Don't you wish your mommy was fine like mine? Yeah. Don't you wish your mommy was smart like mine? Yeah. Don't you? Don't you wish your mommy could laugh like mine?
And that's why every mom should take 3 Crowns milk with low cholesterol to help stay fit and healthy so she can take extra care of her family.
Don't you wish your wifey was hot like mine?
3 Crowns now comes in powder.
Welcome back to the news. For more information, you can reach us on our social media platform, and that's on facebook.com/CoreTV News, and on Twitter @CoreTV News NG. For news updates and other programs, you can watch us on our youtube.com/CoreTV Liverspace and the news. The United States is supporting Nigerians' Safe School initiative with $2 million. Minister of Finance Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala made this known in Abuja at the signing of a tripartite memorandum of understanding among Nigeria, the United Nations and the U.S. She noted that donations will go into a multi-donor trust fund set up within the UN system, but to be managed by the UNDP and UNICEF. The Finance Minister added that Qatar is also committing $2 million to support the initiative.
Today, I'm happy to announce that the U.S. government, through USAID, has made a donation of $2 million to this multi-donor trust fund, and we are here today to witness the signing of the Memorandum of Understanding between the UN, the US, and the U.S. government in support of the government of Nigeria. And I shall be signing on behalf of the government as the witness to this contribution to us. I'm also happy to inform you that the government of Qatar, through the Qatar Foundation, has equally made a donation of $2 million into the multi-donor trust fund. I'm sure we probably will be doing something with them on this later.
Unacceptable. So we in the United States government, we're delighted to be part of this. It ties in with many other things that we're trying to do in the Northeast. Education, health, nutrition, support to IDPs, all of these things, to try to decrease the human suffering as part of our overall effort to support the Nigerian government as it struggles against terror. We know from our own experience how hard that struggle can be, but also how crucial and how important that struggle is. And you just have to keep going. You can't give up. And we stand with you here in Nigeria, because I know that you are not going to give up, and we are not going to give up in our efforts to support you.
As the date for the general elections draws near, the Social Democratic Party candidate Seyi Makinde says he is the candidate to beat and is not jittery of the political antecedents of those contesting with him. The candidate, nicknamed Omi Titun by his admirers, stated that he is a departure from the past assuring residents of a new dawn if given an opportunity to serve as governor. Omotayalo has the rest of the story.
Though relatively new but loved by many who have continued to show enduring support for him, the Social Democratic Party governorship candidate Seyi Makinde has been referred to as the freshness or your nets from its current political situation.
What we have in this government now is creating miscreants among the youth. They're not giving them the opportunity to bring out the best in them. And if you look at it in this country, they are the future of tomorrow. They are the leaders of tomorrow. And if we're not doing anything for the youth now, who are we actually representing?
Many people, they are doing thuggery. Some people are thuggery. Most of them, there's no work, there's any other thing. And these old people, they are using them. When they want to vote, when they want to do election, they will carry many of them, giving them small money, instead of eradicating them out for their future. They didn't do that. They are using them and dropping them when they enter elections.
For Seyi Makinde, who has not been spared from the violence that has reared its ugly head in the campaigns, He says he remains resolute while adding that the issue of poverty holding down the majority of the people of the state will be decisively addressed.
If we had started tackling the issue of poverty in our environment, let's say through past governments, we wouldn't be where we are right now. And when, in the guise of creating jobs, we've created OES job, taking away from the same dwindling allocation from the federation account, and then giving a graduate 8,000 or 10,000 naira on a monthly basis with no hope of, promotion, advancement, or or doing anything good for themselves. I don't think that's what our people want for another 4 years.
He also assured the people that it will normalize the issue of tax burden on the poor.
I have promised the people of Oyo State, even though I'm human, I may not be right all the time, but I will be honest with them all the time. And that's why I'm saying with boldness that all of us, all the stakeholders are going to be involved in this government. I've done it privately, and I know I can do it publicly for the people of Oyo State.
With elections getting closer each day, politicians continue to make the best impression in the minds of the electorate. Omotayo Alo, CoreTV News, Ibadan.
And away from that, lawyers across the country have described as unconstitutional and illegal the Niger State governor's action, Babangida Aliyu, in handing over of state affairs to the Speaker of the State House of Assembly, Adamu Usman, instead of his Deputy Governor, Ahmed Ibeto, who recently decamped to the All Progressive Party. Human rights lawyer Femi Falano says Aliyu's action implies he is treating the government of the state as his party affairs. Falano described his action as unconstitutional and cited that the deputy of the state, as provided by the Constitution, should take over the affairs of the state in the stead and absence of the governor. Another Lagos-based lawyer, Festus Keyamo, says the governor had flouted the provisions of the Constitution and had reduced the constitutional issue to a mere political affair. Also, activist and lawyer G.T. Ogunye urged the people of Niger State and Nigerians at large to condemn the action of the governor, describing it as non-permissible under the Nigerian Constitution. The Federal Capital Territory Administration says it has done no wrong by spending 3 billion naira on constructing 2 community plazas. In justifying the expenditure, government officials insist that projects will boost revenue and satisfy the aspiration of business community. Minister of State for the FCT, Olajumoke Akinjide, says the project would help phase out dilapidated market structures in council areas. She explained that it will be through public-private partnership arrangement, even though local authorities would have to do more to add value to the rural business environment. AMAC Chairman Micah Jiba commended the FCT administration for its support and assured traders of fair play in allocation. Representative of the developers, Charles Ezeani, said the construction was started in 2009 with an area of 6.04 hectares, is to have 1,289 shops. Plazas, which are to be completed in phases, are to have spaces for restaurants, cold rooms, meat shops, laundries, toilets and banking halls, among others. And outside Nigeria, Eurozone Finance Minister is set for an important third meeting in Brussels in a bid to resolve the crisis over Greece bailout. Greece has put forward a proposal for a 6 months extension of its Eurozone loan program instead of renewing its existing bailout deal, which comes with harsh austerity measures. Meanwhile, Germany is said to have rejected the said proposal just as existing bailout deals expires at the end of the month and the possibility of Greece running out of money without a new accord. On Friday, German government stance appeared to soften after a spokeswoman for German Chancellor Angela Merkel said Greece's request for a loan extension from its Eurozone partners provided a starting point for more talks. Early on Friday, Finnish Finance Minister Antti Rinne hinted at a spark of hope of finding a solution at Friday's meeting. following the 15-minute phone call between Greece Prime Minister Alexis Tsipras and German Chancellor Angela Merkel on Thursday night. And that's a wrap-up at 7 o'clock news. Do join us at the top of, do join us at 9:45 primetime news. From me on the news crew, we say many thanks. I am Sabana Zoku, and thank you very much indeed for watching.